Katie, your takeaway on Vance's speech tonight.
This was a speech largely aimed at voters in swing states who may have had a very similar experience in life that he's had, delivering a message that he will remember the people he grew up with and hopes to win over those voters who feel like they've been forgotten by lawmakers in Washington. J.D. Vance's story is known quite well in America. He wrote a best-selling memoir called Hillbilly Elegy. It was made into a movie, and so he told his own story, getting a lot of support from the crowd as he delivered his message, talking about his challenging childhood growing up in poverty, where communities where factory jobs left town, blaming Joe Biden, who was a lawmaker at the time when he was growing up. Remember, he's a millennial. The challenges that his family dealt with when it came to addiction, challenges that many families are dealing with today, and weaving that story, delivering a message to those voters in those kinds of communities, particularly in swing states, hoping to tell them, I will represent you if you send Donald Trump to the White House.
President Trump represents America's last best hope to restore what, if lost, may never be found again. A country where a working-class boy born far from the halls of power can stand on this stage as the next vice president of the United States of America.
Some of the largest cheers he received on that stage came when he spoke about immigration. Just a couple of references, but very tough on immigration in lockstep with Donald Trump. But I have to say, even though tonight was J.D. Vance's night, and will be the big newsy takeaway, I have to say the person who sort of really stole the show tonight is a man named Peter Navarro. He's a little-known trade advisor to Donald Trump, and earlier today he was released from prison, flew here till Milwaukee, had just served his prison term after refusing to cooperate with a January 6th investigation in Congress. And when he walked onto that stage, this crowd full of Donald Trump supporters, the MAGA crowd, they exploded. And so that really, while that's not going to be the key news headline, it really says a lot about this crowd and Donald Trump's Republican Party. The people here who are motivated and energized, that person who went to jail because they wouldn't cooperate with something related to January 6th, that is the person that excites and energizes this crowd.
So interesting. Katie, you also had a chance to have a one-on-one chat with Eric Trump earlier tonight, specifically about the attempt on his dad's life.
Yeah, and we he was in our area, the broadcast area here, so we sort of just sidled up to him to try and sneak in a couple of questions. And we asked him, what happened on Saturday, the attempt on his father's life. Has that changed his vision for America, and what changes has he seen?
I'm not sure if his vision for America's changed, but he's certainly changed, right? When your life flashes before your eyes, you almost have your head blown off by a madman. I think that changes you a little bit, and we saw that. I was watching that with my kids on a couch with my two young children as they almost watched their grandfather, my father, get killed that day, and we didn't really know what was going on for that first hour until he finally called me from the hospital, and then 48 hours later, I'm casting the deciding vote that puts him over the threshold to become Republican nominee for president of the United States, right? So you've got these highs and lows in life, and he walked out that night and it was beautiful. Everybody in this auditorium was in tears and it was a very somber moment.
Eric Trump tells me that he's noticed more humility with his father. But again, the big test will come tomorrow when Donald Trump delivers his big speech closing out this Republican conference.
You bet. Katie Simpson, thank you. Thank you for all that reporting you do, sneaking past lines and talking to people. It's very you. Now, going back to J.D. Vance's speech now, let's take a closer look at the Republican VP nomination's message, its intended audience, and how it might resonate beyond that arena in Milwaukee. For that, let's head over to Paul Hunter now, who's also at the RNC. Paul, your takeaway?
Well, I kind of pick up on what Katie was saying. Look, J.D. Vance has MAGA in his DNA. You read his book, and that is MAGA. And so, the story that he tells, he's got a good story to tell. He tells it well. He jokes. He speaks regular talk. He doesn't sound like a politician when he's up on stage. And I think that matters to a lot of people, not just in MAGA land, but everywhere. So, for a rookie nominee, he held himself well on stage in telling those stories. But more to the point, his particular story, as Katie was noting, resonates extra strongly in places that are so-called battleground states, and specifically those up in this part of the woods, in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Ohio, places that Donald Trump needs to win the presidency. That's one of the values of J.D. Vance as vice presidential nominee. Let's give a listen to some of his message that speaks directly to people in those states.
We're done, ladies and gentlemen, catering to Wall Street. We'll commit to the working man. We're going to build factories again, put people to work making real products for American families made with the hands of American workers. Together, we will protect the wages of American workers and stop the Chinese Communist Party from building their middle class on the backs of American citizens.
You know, you've heard that kind of language from Donald Trump over the course of time. Donald Trump, the billionaire. J.D. Vance, he's done fairly well for himself with his book, etc. But he lived that life. And so that makes for a, what Republicans figure anyway is a powerful tandem at this point, both pitching that same message. But man, J.D. Vance lived it. So that was the essence of his speech, and that's what he'll take out to the country.
All right, Paul Hunter in Milwaukee. Thank you, Paul.